So let's go back to another bet that you made with yourself, I guess. I mean, a kind of crazy bet. You'd made some money from the sale of PayPal. You decided to build a space company. Why on earth would someone do that?
Got that question a lot, that's true. People would say, did you hear the joke about the guy who made a small fortune in the space industry, and he, obviously started with a large one as the punchline. And so I tell people, well, I was trying to figure out the fastest way to turn a large fortune into a small one. And they'd look at me like, oh, is he serious?
And strangely, you were. What happened?
It was a close call. I mean, things almost didn't work out. We came very close to failure, but we managed to get through that point in 2008. The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that I think is vital for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization, which is to have a rapidly and fully reusable rocket.
Would humanity become a spacefaring civilization? So that was a dream of yours in a way from a young age, or like you dreamed of Mars and beyond?
I did build rockets when I was a kid, but I didn't think I'd be involved in this. It was really more from the standpoint of what are the things that need to happen in order for the future to be an exciting and inspiring one. And I really think there's a fundamental difference if you sort of look into the future between a humanity that is a spacefaring civilization that's out there exploring the stars on multiple planets. And I think that's really exciting. And compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event.
So you've somehow slashed the cost of building a rocket by 75%, depending on how you calculate it. How on earth have you done that? NASA has been doing this for years. How have you done this?
Well, we've made significant advances in the technology of the airframe, the engines, the electronics, and the launch operation. I mean, there's a long list of innovations that we've come up with there. That are a little difficult to communicate in this talk, but
not least because you could still get copied, right? I mean, you haven't patented this stuff. It's really interesting to me. You didn't patent because you think it's more dangerous to patent than not to patent.
Since our primary competitors are national governments, the enforceability of patents is questionable.
It's really interesting. But the big innovation is still ahead, and you're working on it now. Tell us about this.
Right. So the big innovation.
In fact, let's roll that video, and you can talk us through it. What's happening here?
Absolutely. So the thing about rockets is that they're all expendable. All rockets that fly today are fully expendable. The space shuttle was an attempt at a reusable rocket, but even the main tank of the space shuttle was thrown away every time. And the parts that were reusable took a 10,000-person group 9 months to refurbish for flight. So the space shuttle ended up costing $1 billion per flight. Obviously, that doesn't work very well for...
So what just happened there? We just saw something land?
That's right. So it's important that the rocket stages be able to come back, to be able to return to the launch site and be ready to launch again within a matter of hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Reusable rockets.
Yes. And so what a lot of people don't realize is the cost of the fuel, of the propellant, is very small. It's much like on a jet. So the cost of the propellant is about 0.3% of the cost of the rocket. So it's possible to achieve, let's say, roughly 100-fold improvement in the cost of space flight if you can effectively reuse the rocket. Wow. That's why it's so important. Every mode of transport that we use, whether it's planes, trains, automobiles, bikes, horses, is reusable, but not rockets. So we must solve this problem in order to become a spacefaring civilization.
You asked me the question earlier of how popular traveling on cruises would be if you had to burn your
certain cruises apparently are highly problematic.
Definitely more expensive. So that's potentially absolutely disruptive technology, and I guess paves the way for your dream to actually at some point, to take humanity to Mars at scale.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
To see a colony on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. SpaceX or some combination of companies and governments need to make progress in the direction of making life multiplanetary, of establishing a base on another planet, on Mars being the only realistic option, and then building that base up until we're a true multi-planet species.
So progress on this let's make it reusable. How is that going? That was just a simulation video we saw. How's it going?
We've been making some good progress recently with something we call the Grasshopper test project, where we're testing the vertical landing portion of the flight, the sort of terminal portion, which is quite tricky. We've had some good tests.
Can we see that?
Yeah. So that's just to give a sense of scale. We dressed the cowboy as Johnny Cash and bolted the mannequin to the rocket.
All right, let's see that video then, because this is actually amazing when you think about it. You've never seen this before: a rocket blasting off, and then.
Yeah, so that rocket is about the size of a 12-story building. So now it's hovering at about 40 meters, and it's constantly adjusting the angle of the pitch and yaw of the main engine and maintaining roll with cold gas thrusters.
How cool is that?